it's not my turn to start something this week, Reuben. It's your turn to start something.
It is my turn to start something this week, and I have started something this week. Would you like to know what it is?
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
All right. Why not? What I have started is budgeting.
I spent my bus money on shitty bills. Now I can't afford to pay my bills.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know which way to make fun of you here.
Okay. Pick one, and then halfway through the section you can try the other one, and then at the end of the section you can try another one.
Okay, we're going to start off with, that's so lame. That's, what a loser.
Nice,
That's,
yeah,
you're budgeting, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Live life
boo.
on the edge. Don't live, live it on the safe side. No, boo. My other option there was to be like, you've only started budgeting? You should have started budgeting when
Classic.
you're freaking 16.
Yeah.
Late to the game.
I don't know, it's that-
Next you're going to tell me you're starting to buy Bitcoin in 2025.
It's the thing of like the best time to plant a tree is yesterday. The second best time to plant a tree is today, right? Like you can't just sunk cost fallacy your way to never fixing these things, you know? Yeah. Anyway, I thought you might be interested in this because we have talked about finances on this podcast before. At least 3 times we've made fun of tech bros, but at least once you've actually talked about like actually what you do for finances.
Are you bringing back the character of Finance Bro?
No,
Okay.
I was listening to that episode the other day for some reason. I think I had to go back and find something or do some time codes or something. Hated it. Never coming back. Well, I'll say it. One of my worst bits so far.
You're so non-committal as well. You'd slide out of it
Yeah, I know.
and then slide into
there was
it.
nothing there.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Regular person, bro.
Yeah. Don't do that. Yeah.
Regular person, bro. Why are you budgeting?
Okay. So it's always my intention to spend the second quarter of this year. Yeah, I know. So like to have a look over these next 3 months at money and like money in the long term, money as an investment, have a look at my tax, have a look at my super, have a look at my HEX debt, all of that stuff. And so before I started that, I thought, well, before you do anything, you need data to act on that data. And so for the first 3 months of the year, I did a budget, not a forward-looking budget, just a backward-looking budget. So a few days after the end of the month, I would sit down, get everything together, and I would made a spreadsheet format that worked for me, had to tinker with it a bit, and just listed what I had spent by category, what money came in, the total net of everything. Like I looked at all the different accounts. I even have one section where I look at the HEX debt and I look at the super, even though those are 20 years away from being relevant.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When you go to the doctor and they tell you that your arm is bleeding, please come back in 2 months and we'll patch it up. It's like, no, I think I'm going to go home and put a Band-Aid on it. It's like, oh, I'm spending $15 a month on Audible that I haven't used since because I forgot that I left it going.
Yeah.
I'm not going to wait 3 months before I fix that. I'm going to immediately fix that. So now I'm in this funny position where I've got to April and I've already made all of the easy ones, the ones where it's like, I never use that. I don't need to spend on that. And so now I'm like, oh, if I want to keep reducing spending, now I'm up to the hard bit. You know what I mean? Okay.
Sure. All
That's
right.
background. Yeah.
So let's that's some great background. So I guess it would be great to say why might someone want to budget in their life, just to set like and what the benefits of that are. I think we can assume that everyone knows generally what budgeting is, but some people like you might not have actually looked at what that means. So
yeah, it's been super fun to kind of explore. I have never done it in this kind of careful way, partly because I have always just worked more. And if the long-term number in the bank account was going down or I wasn't putting enough into savings, I would take on more work. And if the numbers were fine, I would take on a bit less work. And that was literally the extent of like my thought process. It was always a future problem. Yeah. And it's not a problem now, but it is like, I can fix this while it's not a problem. I can look at this and go, well, let's say that I save $20 a month and I do that for 12 months of the year and I do that for 5 years. Suddenly there's a lot of money that I've saved from not thinking about it very much.
Yeah. So like budgeting in general is a practice of looking at your finances, both the money you're spending and the money you're taking in, to make sure that you can Well, generally, it's. I mean, technically, you could budget to fuck yourself in terms of
Sure.
like, I'm going to
Yeah.
budget so that I spend all of my money and I'm living paycheck to paycheck. But it's a practice of looking at your money and planning in the future.
I've also
generally.
never done forward-looking budgets because I haven't had a saving goal in the past.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough to have not had to buy a car for many years and never planned a big like overseas trip or anything like that. So my budgets when I've tinkered, have always looked backwards. Some people go forwards and they say,
I've
this
never
month
really
I'm
heard
allowed
of a-
to spend.
Of a backwards looking budget.
Really?
I feel like that's just looking at the amount of money that goes out. Are you talking, well, I guess, I don't know. I always imagine budgeting as looking forward but looking at previous spending is just that. But I didn't, yeah.
Well, you have to start somewhere. Like, human brains are we love pattern recognition.
Yeah.
But we're actually not very good at it. If we're talking about something that is so dry as like literal numbers of dollars and cents and percentages, we're really bad at guessing it. And
Yeah.
so I kind of suspected that I would be wrong about some things. And when I laid it all out, I was like, oh, that actually doesn't cost me nearly as much as I think. Or like, that actually costs me way more than I think. Whether it's, all the marketing tricks that businesses do about like a $9.99 is actually a $10 and that feels very different in your head. Or just like, there's some things that I definitely think of as throwaway purchases that add up much more. Or some that I think of as like, oh, this is a big purchase. Like I'm buying a piece of furniture, which when you look back is actually like, that's not that consequential a spend. So that's been kind of predictable, but still interesting to experience.
How are you putting everything into perspective and comparing stuff? Like you just said, like you might have a big piece of furniture, or you might have some, I don't know, maybe just getting a bit of takeaway on the way home. Like those are, you spend money on both of them. But how do you comprehend the value of each of them and then compare? Is it like, well, if you were buying a couch, for example, it's like, well, I plan to have this couch for 5 years and it costs $300. And then if I divide that by the amount of days, then I was spending like a cent a day or, less.
Yeah.
And therefore, like, it's worth doing. And I should maybe cut back on the $25 of food that I get every day or every 2 days. And then you half that. And it's like, well, that's $13.
It's really annoying to deal with that stuff. I've chosen a month as my basic unit of measurement. But even that is annoying because some months I'll get paid 4 times and some months I'll get paid 5 times, for example. Or sometimes you buy for example, I bought a series of classes that went for 10 weeks. But all of that cost lands on one day. And so, like, should I distribute that in the way I attribute it? Should I, for the next 3 months, say, well, I've spent 1/3 of that each month on these classes? You could do that. What I have done is I've actually just put the spend of every item in the month that I spent the money. So that distorts the numbers for sure. Like if you say you bought a couch for a few $100s, that's all going to land in 1 month. And so my other category is going to look really huge that month. I'm a little bit just relying on intuition and common sense and brain power to know like, oh, that was that one-off, or like, oh, that was that time when that thing happened. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You don't
Because
divide it out though. Like you don't separate it into a bit that isn't categorized as like if it's like a long-term item.
That's kind of what my other category is.
Okay.
That's like unexpected maintenance or gifts for other people or significant purchases that will take a while.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I also, because I don't have a hard cap on the spending each month, it's not like buying one item is going to send me over. And in order to actually equate it to real value, I need to spread it out. I don't have that imposition. So it is fine to be like, well, that was higher. Why was that? Oh, yeah, I bought that thing.
Right, yeah.
But overall, what I would say is that I have a hot take here, burning hot take incoming. People are doing budgeting wrong. By which I mean, people are putting their energy and focus into the wrong place. It's a 3-step process, right? Money coming in, money coming out, what you do with the money. And every bit of advice or feedback that I've seen, the vast majority of it focuses on that third bit, which is like, make sure you're getting a good interest rate. Frickin' put this much into this every time. Put whatever in whatever account. Invest in this instead of this for a 1% extra. I think that and that's good to receive that advice because that stuff can be like less intuitive, and that's like where you've got to like wade into tax systems and deductions and like rates of interest and whatever. But I think that the other two are way more important.
Yeah.
If I work one extra 3-hour shift every week, let's round that very slightly up from 92 or something to $100, right? And if I do that, even let's say 40 weeks of the year, if I only work school terms or something, that's $4,000 extra dollars. Now, I don't care how many subscription services you cancel, and I don't care how many times you choose a cheaper meal at the restaurant, and I don't care how many times you choose not to go to a cinema to save $30. You are not going to save $4,000 in a year. So I think people are way, and not everyone can just pick up extra work when they want it. I understand it's not that simple, but I think that the priority in people's heads, because of the way we talk about this stuff, is wrong. And the best way to be better off financially, much as we all hate it, is actually you need more income. Whether that's work more or work a job that gets you a higher rate. And then spend less is still good. And then maximize the money that you're making with your existing money is still good. I'm not saying don't do that stuff. I'm just saying that like it's so easy to get caught up in like, oh, and then if I do that, I can make 0.2% extra over the... It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I
it's
feel
all
like
just choices.
Depending on what socioeconomic class you're in
100%.
changes also what the focus is for you, because people who kind of have money, it's often that third tier, as you're saying. But then also, like, I think this also applies to younger people or people in hardship, especially right now with cost of living and housing and all of that. The second tier actually has a lot of focus. You know, it's the classic, oh, what if you just didn't buy coffee every day? Or what if you just stopped getting avocado toast? It's always the spend less. And there's less focus on the make money because it's hard to make money these days. It's harder than it has ever
much
been.
As they can. Some people are working 2 jobs, or they're looking for extra work all the time. Or
it's budgeting is interesting. I had to get a new bank when I moved here to the States, and the app sucks, and it's not as good as the bank that I have in Australia. I'm with Up Bank, and they have great insights where you can look back at whatever month and they automatically categorize each transaction so that you can like review that, see what percentage of your spending was going where, how that's changed from other months. You can also go into the transaction and manually change what category if you're like, this doesn't feel right for me. So that's great for looking back. But I never do that really unless it's tax time.
Thing I've found useful, because my bank has an automatic one like that as well, which I've looked at in the past, but I don't really agree with the categories, and I could fiddle on there. But what I found valuable is actually, even though it's time consuming, the manual entry of every item makes me think about them.
Because I do this during taxes.
Pardon?
That's during the tax time. That's when I go through all of my transactions for the past year, mainly because I'm like, was this Bunnings trip a business one, or was this? Yeah. But like, there's something because part of this process is about like just remapping the patterns in the brain, or like just being aware and paying attention. I'm paying more attention because I'm putting it in myself. It feels almost like you know how when you spend cash, it feels more significant than when you tap your card, right? And that's why Disneyland gives everyone bracelets or whatever, because it stops being real money. I don't quite get back to that point, but by manually putting everyone in, it's kind of like I'm spending cash again. It's like it becomes a little bit more tangible and easier to touch. And then that's when I catch myself being like, oh, that like takeaway food that I tapped my card for and didn't think about. Now I'm thinking about it, and I didn't need that. So how can I change that moving forward? Would you move to cash to make it even more like prominent for you? The awareness? Cash is really inconvenient. It's not that inconvenient. Did you know there's I found out from a TikTok the other day that there's about, I think I'm gonna get the number wrong, but I'm just gonna say a number, about $4 billion in Australia. Might be up to 11. It might be 11 billion. Is that all? No, that is just lost. Oh, that like isn't cash that is being moved around, but it's just I don't know, sitting under a mattress or got dropped into a cavern or. Yes. Yeah. There's that which is insane. And also cash loses its value. Cash is very bad in terms of like retaining value.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but so is
right,
having any
that's
money in a regular like checking or debit account.
Sure. Yeah. It's a low number in the sense of like our economy turnover would be worth trillions every year.
Yeah.
But it's also like if you compare it to $0, which is the amount of money that I would like to be completely disappearing from the system, that's a lot of money.
It might be more. It might be in the trillions. I can't remember. It was a TikTok from a bit ago.
Well, we could wait here while you scroll all the way back to find it, or we could tell the listeners if I think they should do budgeting.
You can do that. Can I also tell you quickly about one of the best budgeting systems, probably the best budgeting system I've ever used.
Yeah.
Ha to me for thinking about budgeting at some point. When I was about 18, I want to say, I changed banks to this online only like bank.
Yep.
One of those newfangled internet ones.
Me Bank or something, wasn't it? Not that.
No, everyone says it's me. It's not me. I can't remember what it was, but oh no, I do remember. It was called Wildcard, and their whole shtick, their whole gimmick is each time you get paid, the money doesn't go into your spending account. They hold the money into a separate section, and you are drip fed that amount cent by cent until your next payment date. So that means you are only ever spending a like proportional amount for that. So it's you're not going through a shit ton of money in the first couple of, like the first week. If you get paid monthly, that'd be gross if you're paid monthly. But like in the first week, and then you have 3 weeks where like I'm barely surviving off anything.
And it's doing that apportioning of value day by day for you.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can
That's
have,
great if you get paid regularly.
Yeah.
Like that system works for someone in like reliable employment.
Yes.
Who knows
yeah,
that there's
does.
more money coming and what day it's coming and that it's enough.
But also, it doesn't go back to zero by the end, and it's just your
Sure, you have whatever.
whatever's in there. So it just also means that you're not like you don't have that surge on payday where you're like, oh my god, I have so much money. I think it was a really great way to sort of distribute the income, and a great way to actually be aware of how much money I you're future aware because you have the money in that you're not losing any money at any given point, but you just are only viewing what is kind of available, like your worth for that day. You get the idea. I can't really put it into words.
No, I totally get it. Do you still have the agency to go and get the other money out of the secret drip feed account? Or do they
yes.
not let you
You can do that, but you can also make it so that that's locked. But you can get someone else, like you get someone else to have an account, or it might just be their phone number. And so it's like locking a lockbox and then giving the key to a friend to be like, don't let me have this back unless it's an emergency.
I wonder if that would be good for kids or for people with problem gambling addictions or something.
Yeah.
As a model.
I'm probably really would be.
You would have to think carefully about it and ask an expert, but that's what comes to my mind.
Well, unfortunately, Wildcard shut its doors in, I think, 2020 and does not exist anymore. And no one's taken up that system of income distribution over time, which big bummer. Big bummer. Is your spreadsheet, is it coloured?
My spreadsheet, is it coloured? It has some green and red down the bottom. I could open it right now. I could open the March budget right now. The big discovery has been something, I don't know. It's an interesting case of like...
Yeah, what's your biggest discovery? What's your biggest success and what's your biggest failure?
Hard to answer. I've separated grocery food from like dining out food, which counts like any takeaway or eating at a restaurant. That was super revealing to find that the numbers were like kind of, it's changed now, but in January kind of almost equal, which is like,
right.
That is not right. I mean, it's fine. You can spend your money on whatever you want to, but in my head, it's like, no, you should spend much less on eating out than you do on buying all the food that you eat the rest of the meals in your month. So that was an interesting one. And then I guess Rent has been the other huge one, because in my brain that's like, well, that's the bare minimum. Like you have to account for that, and you have to spend that, and that's the first thing every month or every payday that you account for, right? Because it's so basic and such a necessity to have a roof over your head. However, that means that in my head I was taking like about $1,000 a month just out, and not even really counting it as spending. However, laying it all out there and putting it in a pie chart, I realized, wow, that rent spend is so frustratingly high.
Yeah.
But there's very little you can do to reduce it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can look for a cheaper place, and you can, or you can look for a worse place that's cheaper and kind of sacrifice a little bit of like quality of life for financial stability. But yeah, that's been super frustrating. Like this immovable chunk of like 30, 40, 50% of my income each month that you just cannot not spend. So that feels a bit like failure almost, even though it's kind of a systemic thing.
Yeah, because you can budget as and reduce as much as you want, but that's not really one that you can. Yeah. Reduce on it with the ease of like canceling a Netflix subscription.
Right. Yeah.
So what does this mean for your media consumption?
Well,
Because
not
last
much.
week you were looking at starting a new, signing up for Mac.
Yeah, I paid for Max. After we talked about
you finally cancelled Audible and you just
Max.
swapped it out for another.
Yeah. No, I cancelled more than Audible. I cancelled 2 or 3 in January. Yeah. No, I think we value streaming differently. Like you are always trying to get rid of it or save on the rate of it or find alternatives to it or swap in and out of it.
Well, that's everything for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than comparing it to $0, I generally compare it to like going out to see a film or going out to see a show or have an experience, and then streaming turns out to be very cheap because it's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
So I have cancelled the ones I'm not using, and I've definitely had a big look because a huge Disney Plus bill for the year came through, so I'm thinking about that. But I value streaming differently to you, and for me, usually the cost benefit is right there.
Yeah.
And so I've kept the ones that I do use at least a couple of times a month.
I think one of my problems with it is that the alternative option is $0. In terms
I
of
don't
like if there
feel
is
that
something
to be true. I know
Yeah.
it's true for you, and I know it's technically true for me if I met your friend with a lovely eye patch. But yeah.
Or like it's a lot less because if it's okay, like with my music the other day, for listeners who don't know, a few episodes back I mentioned that I'm finished with Spotify and Apple Music, and I'm just going with downloaded music. I got an album recommended to me the other day. An Australian punk rock album called Hoo Ha, and it is by it's by Bad Dreams. And I wanted to listen to it. I got sent a Spotify link. I don't have Spotify, so I was like, all right, how am I going to get this? Because they're not a massive band. I don't know if I could, find it online. But I was like, no, this is a perfect time for me to just put in my money for the month. Like I went to Bandcamp and then I bought it, and now I have the like FLAC files. I have the audio files. And so I put in like, I don't know how much it was, like $8 or whatever. And bought the album. That money goes way more towards, the artists themselves. This is what I spoke on a couple of episodes ago. But this is all to say that I'm still going to be spending less. Like the alternative option to the streaming is still like it's $0 or like way closer to 0.
Yeah, fair. I don't know. I look at my entertainment spending, and it's a number in the hundreds, and I look at what portion of that is streaming, and it's maybe 40. So
yeah, but that 40 could be 0 and you could still consume the same media. It is the way that I look at it.
Yeah, so interesting, isn't it? Anyway, folks, isn't that fun?
I had one other budgeting tidbit, which I might have spoken on when we were talking about Caleb Hammer. And that is, for me, one of the things that I kind of do is for the things that I care about, I spend money on and don't think about. Because you got to have your joys. You got to have the things that you can't be conservative with all your spending, because like you work hard for that money. You want to be able to enjoy life.
Yeah, if you're like joy and hobbies category is 0, I don't think you're like winning. I don't think that's the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, so like on the things that I care about, I will spend money and not budget too hard about that. But on the stuff that I don't care about, that's where I'm super fiscally conservative. And that's a fun way to budget. I think that is like, it means you're not being silly for the stuff that doesn't matter to you, and you get to be silly for the stuff that does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you taken that on that at all? Or
There's definitely things where I don't worry about the fact that I'm spending on it. I just like note it and move it over there. Like rent, my dance expenses, partly because they're deductible, and also it's like that's career and hobby and soul fulfillment. Like we're not compromising on that. It's definitely tiers in my mind, 2 or 3 tiers of like critical or non-negotiable, and then like negotiable or avoidable, and then like you should not be spending this, like self-punishment bad. You know?
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Would you recommend doing any budgeting? Do you reckon the listeners should do that, or do you reckon
I think
it's
so.
too tormenting?
No, because if you don't at least have a look, you don't know. And you can always, you can choose how intensely you do it. You can always just look at the numbers and then move on.
Yeah.
You could not, you know what I mean? Or you could like dive right in. I don't know. I think there'll be a fair few people like me who have, in the last 3 years, have realized that like between inflation and housing affordability, that things have fundamentally changed and that they need a new approach. So have a look, but pick one that works for you. I'm not interested in like dogma about this, like you have to do it this way, because you don't have to do it this way. But I would recommend having a look. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Nice.